All right, we're going to be starting with the box active from Hack the Box. And so I went ahead and ran this Nmap scan. The IP address is 10.10.10.100. I ran it with a T5 because I didn't want to wait. And it wasn't pinging, so I went ahead and did the -PN. And we have the Nmap scan here. Now this is what a normal looking Active Directory Nmap scan is going to look like. Sometimes you'll have a port 80 open or you'll have a web server. Sometimes you won't, and when you don't, you can just look at this and you can just think, okay, here's what I need to do is I'm going to start, if it were me, I'm going to start right here, 139.445, then I would go to 398, then I would hop down to 464. So this is just kind of my method that I would be working through this if this is how I'd go about it. So what we are going to start off with is looking at this port 445, and we'll come over here and we can actually just type in SMB map and it will look just like this. You've seen this before. What we're doing is looking to see if we have any file shares that we have access to with anonymous login. So we can go ahead and run that and see what it pulls down. And it says we have access read only to replication. So you've seen this also before. So we run this SMB map, and then we can also run SMB client, and then it's //10.10.10.100, and then we can run this slash replication, and then we can do a -C, and then we can type in recurse ls. And so what this is going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to run through all of the files and it's going to list them out for us. And this is helpful if you don't mind having your terminal full of stuff. But I like doing this because the other way to go about doing this is to actually log in to the SMB server anonymously and then going through and manually looking at everything. That just takes a lot of time and it's a lot of typing, and it's a lot quicker to just use that command we just saw. But if you wanted to go ahead and do it the manual way, what you would do is just type in SMB client, and then we can type all this in and we'll just delete this, and then we hit enter and it should load us with a command prompt. And then you would just have to go in here and you can ls, I don't remember, yeah, dir works too. And then you would just see this little D right here means it's a directory. So you would go ahead and then you would cd into active.htb, and then you would go ahead and look at the files again, and then you would choose whatever folder you wanted to go into, and so on and so forth, and it just really takes forever. So it's a lot quicker to do it this way. When this loads for us, we can start all the way at the top, and we can look and see, okay, if we cd'd into active.htb, this is what you're going to see. And then the way SMB client works is it just is going to go through and list for us each one of these files. It's going to cd into the next one, and then it's going to list it, cd into the next one, and it's going to list it. And so if it were my first time going through here, I would remember these. They could be useful. And then I would just keep on scrolling, but because I would definitely look at users if I was first time on this box, see if I could pull down some users, because if you have a user, you can try and pull down hashes, which we're actually going to see a little bit later with some in-packet tools. So if you can get a user, you might be able to get lucky enough to pull down a user with a password or a password hash that we can crack, and we are actually going to see this. So that is helpful that it has users listed there. If you were on a CTF or some kind of certification, it's possible that they would just throw this user here and then they would give you just a whole list of users just to lead you down a rabbit trail. So you got to be careful of doing something like that. So we have the registry policy, we have groups, and at this point, this is something that's interesting because if you have this groups.xml and you have it inside the policies, this actually is going to have for us the information we need. And so in order to grab this file, because we're already logged in right here on this SMB server, we can go ahead and just copy this entire thing and save us some time. and we can go ahead and CD to this location. And I don't really want to get this at this specific spot, so what I'll just show you what we're going to do is you would go ls and you'd see this, and then you can type in get and then groups.xml. And I'm actually going to move over to a different folder and grab this because it's going to be grabbing right here in my Linux box and I don't really want it there. But that's how you'd go ahead and get this folder. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to switch locations, and then we'll go ahead and get this file and look and see what's inside. Okay, so we're going to grab this file. We can close out of here, and then we can go ahead and ls, and then we can cat this out, and we can see what is in here. And so we see we have a password. It is hashed, and we're going to go ahead and crack this. And then we have a user somewhere around here. Right here we have svctgs as a user. So what we'll do is we will highlight the entire thing. Now, I don't expect you to know this, but whenever you see something inside the group policies, you can know that this hash is going to be the group policies hash. So you can actually type in gpp-decrypt just like this, and then you should be able just to paste in your hash and then hit enter, and it will go ahead and decrypt that for us. So it tells us this is the password for this account right here. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll gedit some notes, and we're going to grab this user, paste it in, and then we're going to grab the password so that we have this as well. And now we have those. And what we're going to do, what you would normally do, see, I know where we're going to go because this is really, and I've done this box before, but when you see this SVC TGS, this is telling me this is a ticket granting service, and within Active Directory, you can have tickets for each user, and this right here grants tickets for the user. So if we can somehow grant ourselves a ticket or get a hash, then we get on this box. So that's what ultimately we're going to do, especially when you see this TGS, this ticket granting service. Then you need to be thinking curb roasting or doing something with curb roast. But also something that's really common that you're going to see on Active Directory is this will be a TGT, and it's a ticket granting ticket, and it's the ticket we need in order to get on to the network. So that's a lot of ticket saying, but anytime you're dealing with Active Directory, you're going to hear it a lot. Those are just a couple of little acronyms that you need to be aware of. So with that, what you would do in a normal situation when you don't know what you're doing and you grab a user and a username is you're just going to go ahead and you're going to run SMB map again. So we just go SMB map, and then we're going to go, I think it's a capital U. We'll just type in --help and make sure that we do this right. So we're going to have a user this time. It is a lowercase u and a lowercase b. So what we will do, it tells us a password or an NTLM hash. This NTLM hash, we're going to see this later. This hash is one that we're going to pull down from an Active Directory network. A domain controller can give us this NTLM hash. Sometimes you can grab these with Responder, which we're also going to see later. So it caught me off guard when I saw that NTLM hash. I didn't realize that was a part of SMB map. So that's interesting. So you can note that. Because we are going to see that later. We're not going to use the hash in order to grab this later, in order to go into SMB map later, but it's always useful to know that we can do this in the future just in case we have this hash and we're not able to crack it. So what this gives us the usage here. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to go SMB map -u, and our username was SVC TGS, and our password was GPP still standing strong. We'll paste that in, and then it looks like we give it the host, which is 10.10.10.100. And then this should run, and it'll tell us if we have access to any other shares that we didn't have access to before. And we have access to users, we have access to sysvol now, we have this net login. And so in a normal situation, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you will look in all of these that we now have read access to, so that we can enumerate some more. But we're actually not going to go that route, because that's not the route we need to go. But you just go through and you do the exact same thing we just did in order to find this user and this password, and you just go ahead and look through here and see if you can find any more information that would help you gain access to the network. And so show you real quick, you can see the difference. Up here we anonymously had read only right here, but now that we have a user, we have access to different shares. And this will be helpful. Sometimes you will find a user, or you'll have anonymous login and you'll only have access to one share, and then you'll find another user and you'll have access to 2 shares, and then you'll find another user and you'll finally be able to get onto the network. That does happen, and it does take time, and it does take time to go through and enumerate all of these, but you just got to be patient and run through the enumeration the way it's supposed to be done. Dave, I'm going to show you 2 different tools from Impacket. First, we'll just come over here, and this is what it looks like. It's Impacket get NP users, and then it's the domain controller, the IP. So we give it the IP, we give it the name, which is active.htb. A lot of times you're going to see in Hack the Box this as HTB, but elsewhere you're going to see this as the username.local. We're actually going to see one later that has a .local. And then the username, and let's pretend we found a username but we don't have a password. And so what we would do is we would try and go -no-pass and see if we could get a TGT from this service. And so unfortunately we're going to run it, but we're not able to get a TGT. But we are going to see this again. We're going to try this again in another box in the future, and I don't actually remember if it works or not. So we will try it out and see if we can get this TGT. If you get a ticket back, you can do a pass the ticket attack. And the tickets last usually, I think it's 10 hours default by Windows. So you can use that ticket. I also see that I got this IP wrong. You can use that ticket and see what you're able to have access to. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to show another Impacket tool. So it will look like this: Impacket -get, and I think that it is users. Yes, it's this one. See, here's a box that was done as spooky.local. That one I think is from Try Hack Me, if I'm remembering right. Now we'll go ahead and type in our active.htb/svc-tgs. We can delete this, and then we'll go ahead and we'll paste in our password here so that we can get this hash. So as you can see, Impacket, we're going to use Impacket here once, we're going to use it again twice, and then we're going to use it a third time to actually get our shell on this box. So it's really important for us to use Impacket and to know how to use it and to make sure you have it. I told you before earlier in this course that if any penetration tester is told they can have one tool, this is usually the tool they're going to go after. So for some reason, this doesn't seem to want to run. All right, so the problem turned out to be I had a dash right here and it needed to be an underscore. So now that we got that resolved, what we can see is we now have the name administrator here that it has spit down for us, and it did not give us the hash. So we're going to go ahead and run this again. It says that the clock skew is too great. Okay, so this is my box clock, my Kali Linux box right here. The time does not match the time on the Kerberos Windows machine right here. So you can see the difference. So this error, you are going to get this. Every single time you ever run this, every single time I've run this, it always tells me the clocks don't match. I think you have to be within an hour, and I don't remember how to fix this. So you just paste it in here, and there's going to be a simple way to update this clock in one of these up here. So we'll go ahead and paste that in, and it's going to tell us how to fix this. It's because our time is not linked and the mitigation for it. This is what we're looking for. Maybe it'll be in this GitHub page. I will go ahead and find this and bring you back once I have the mitigation for this. It turns out what you end up having to do is type in sudo apt install ntp date. Go ahead and run it. It will install, and then in order to link up your time, you type in sudo ntp date and then the IP address, and you hit enter, and that will go ahead and update the time. And then you'll go back over to the Active Directory box that we're working on, and you'll go ahead and run this command, and you will get this output. And so we have the administrator name here, and this is their ticket. So we'll go ahead and copy that, and we'll cd into desktop, HTB, and then we'll go into active, and then we're going to name this gedit hash.txt, and we will paste in the hash, and we can save it, and we're going to use hashcat to crack this. So we'll type in cat, and we'll hashcat, and then we can go ahead and copy this, paste it in here, and we're told we need to use 131.100, and so that will be the hashcat type we're going to use. So we'll go ahead and type in hashcat-m 131.00 hash.txt -a, and we're going to use the word list rocku. So we'll go ahead and locate rocku.txt. We will copy this, and now we can go hashcat all over again -m 131.00, and then we'll go hash, and then we'll paste in the directions to our word list, and we'll see if that runs. This will take a minute, so I will bring you back once hashcat is finished running. Alright, hashcat has finished running, and here is the password for this hash. You can go ahead and copy this, and we'll go gedit notes, and we can type in I think the user was administrator, so we can come up here, and it's on a different link, but it's administrator, and then this is the password. What we just did is called curb roasting. So we had the ticket granting service, and it reached out to the domain controller, and we were able to pull down the administrator with their hash, and with that we were able to crack it and grab this password. And so in the next video, because there is no WinRM on this box, we're going to go and get a shell on this Active Directory network in a different way, and this is going to be using psexec to get a shell on the network. So what we're going to do is check our credentials we found in the last time, which are right here, administrator, and this is the password, Ticketmaster 1968. So what we can do before we test the psexec is you can always come in here and you can use SMB map, just like we did here, and we'll check and see what shares we have. And so we'll paste in our password, and then we can put in the username, administrator, and we can see what shares we have. And if we have the ability to write to all the shares, read write, right here, if you can read write to this admin, that's the one you need to know. If you can read write to that, you can psexec into the box, because WinRM is down, so we're going to have to use psexec, which will use port 139 and 445. So if you go back and check the Nmap Scan, you will be able to see what I'm talking about. And the way we psexec is using impacket again. So this is the third time we've used impacket, so we can type in impacket and then -psexec, and then we type in active.htb, which is the domain that we're going to be going into, and then we type in administrator as the user we're going to be using at 10, 10, 10, 100. And then we paste in our password, and you're going to see that it is writing to admin. This is why we checked to see if we had read write to admin. And if we do, we get a shell back. And so we can go, who am I? And we are NT authority system. So that is the box active, and this is how you use psexec. You will need to know this in the future. You will need to know how to write this syntax, so you can go ahead and save this into your notes. You will for sure see it regularly in the future. You will need to be able to psexec into Windows boxes once you have credentials.